Ronan Vale's boots sank into the scorching black ash as the ground trembled beneath him. Paralis 4 was alive. Alive in a way that made every pulse of the molten rock feel personal, threatening. He had been sent here to map energy anomalies for the Galactic Command, a mission critical for the safety of countless colonies. But right now, all that mattered was the soft, urgent squeal echoing from a nearby fissure. He froze, scanning the jagged terrain. Smoke curled in twisting spirals, carrying a smell of sulfur and burning metal. That's when he saw it, a tiny creature no bigger than a human child trapped atop a crumbling rock shelf. Its scales glowed faintly, a mix of orange and green that flickered like dying embers. A hatchling. A dragon, if he wasn't imagining things. Its wings were scorched, one leg pinned under a falling shard of stone, and its eyes locked onto his with a mixture of fear and pleading that pierced through the haze. Ronan's pulse spiked. He knew every second counted. The fissure beneath the hatchling cracked wider, spewing heat and sparks. The edges were unstable. One wrong step and they would both fall into the molten river below. He glanced at his mission console, blinking a warning about rising seismic activity, then back at the hatchling. Without thinking, he sprinted. He vaulted over a jagged outcrop, ducked under a falling chunk of rock and reached the creature. The hatchling shrieked as the ground shuddered beneath them, and Ronan didn't hesitate. He slid beneath the pinned leg, using all his strength to lift it off the jagged stone. Pain shot through his arms, but he didn't let go. The hatchling curled against his chest, trembling, letting out a soft, pitiful sound. Its warmth was a stark contrast to the fiery chaos around them. For the first time, Ronan felt the weight of choice pressing down on him. He could leave it here and complete the mission. That was what he had trained for, what the Galactic Command expected. But every instinct screamed that leaving this creature to die was wrong. A deep rumble shook the ground beneath them. Ronan's eyes widened. He hadn't been alone. From the smoke and ash, a shadow moved. Massive, serpentine, with wings stretched wide enough to block the weak sunlight filtering through the ash clouds. Its eyes were a deep violet, glowing like twin orbs of judgment. The hatchling stiffened against his chest, and instinctively Ronan shifted to shield it. The creature's roar was deafening, a wave of sound that vibrated through the rocky plains. Heat from its breath made the air shimmer and dance. Ronan realized in that moment that he was no longer just saving a hatchling. He was challenging a predator far beyond anything he had faced. Every option was dangerous. Every step forward could be his last. He ran, keeping low, leaping across broken stones with the hatchling clinging to him. Sparks from the molten fissures seared the air, and rocks crumbled behind them, cutting off any path back. He needed a plan, and fast. He spotted a narrow ledge along the cliffside, just wide enough to hold both of them. It was risky, but staying meant death. Ronan glanced down at the hatchling. Its wings twitched weakly, scales shimmering brighter as if reacting to his determination. He whispered, "Hold on. I won't let them take you." His voice was steady despite the fear gnawing at him. The hatchling chirped softly, almost in understanding, and curled tighter into his chest. With a running start, he leapt onto the ledge, barely catching it. His heart hammered as he pressed the hatchling against him, keeping it balanced as the ground beneath groaned and shifted. Behind him, the massive predator hissed, snapping jaws inches from his heels. Ronan's mind raced. He needed a way to escape this living furnace. Then, as if answering his unspoken need, a crack opened beneath the ledge. A hidden chute of cool, swirling air, a vertical tunnel carved in obsidian, revealed itself. It was narrow, treacherous, and vertical, but it was their only chance. He squeezed into it, hatchling pressed tight against him. The walls scraped his suit, and he stumbled down the twisting shaft, sparks and smoke brushing past, until they landed in a pool of cool, shimmering water at the bottom. Ronan gasped for breath, clutching the hatchling. It blinked at him with wide, intelligent eyes, scales glowing softly in the dim light. For a moment, the world was silent except for their ragged breaths. He had saved it, but the danger was far from over. The ground above still rumbled, and he could feel vibrations that meant the predator hadn't given up. He looked around the cavernous space. Strange crystal formations lined the walls, pulsating faintly as if alive. The hatchling shivered again, nudging toward a faint tunnel glowing with a soft light. Ronan felt a spark of hope, and a deeper, gnawing curiosity. Where did this tunnel lead? What was this place hiding? Before he could answer, a loud cracking echoed through the cavern. Rocks above shifted violently. Ronan's heart jumped. He realized they were not alone, and whatever was coming down that tunnel might change everything. He tightened his grip on the hatchling, ready to run or fight, knowing that this was only the beginning. The hatchling chirped, almost impatiently, and Ronan's stomach twisted. Something was watching them, something ancient, something intelligent. And whatever it was, it wouldn't let them leave without testing them first. Ronan clenched his jaw. He had chosen to save this creature. Now, the question wasn't just whether he could survive, it was whether this tiny dragon could survive. And somewhere deep inside he sensed that this choice would change his life, and the galaxy, forever. A faint glow pulsed ahead and Ronan stepped toward it, heart hammering. He didn't know what waited, but he knew one thing: there was no turning back. The tunnel narrowed as Ronan pressed forward, the hatchling tucked firmly against his chest. Its tiny claws dug into his suit, not in fear, but as if urging him to keep moving. The soft glow ahead flickered like a heartbeat, casting long shadows along the jagged walls. Every step sent shards of rock tumbling down, and Ronan's heart hammered, not just from fear, but from the sense that the cavern itself was alive, watching, testing him. He paused for a moment, listening. A faint hum echoed from deeper within the tunnel. It wasn't mechanical, it was organic, resonant, almost musical. The hatchling chirped in response, its glow brightening. Ronan's breath caught. He didn't understand the sound, but instinct told him it was important. The hatchling wasn't just an animal, it was reacting to something. Maybe it could guide him. The tunnel twisted sharply, and Ronan nearly lost his footing on slick, black stone. Sparks from his suit's emergency stabilizers reflected off veins of crystal embedded in the walls. They pulsed rhythmically, almost in time with the hatchling's glowing scales. He realized that these weren't just crystals, they were channels of energy humming with power. The same energy, perhaps, that had drawn him here in the first place. Suddenly, a low rumble shook the tunnel. Rocks fell from the ceiling and Ronan ducked instinctively. A fissure opened above him, glowing faintly red. The predator from above wasn't far behind. He could feel the heat and the weight of it pressing down through the stone. One wrong move and they could be crushed, or worse, dragged back into the open lava fields. He clenched his jaw. "Keep moving," he whispered to the hatchling. The little dragon chirped back, almost like understanding, and nudged him toward a side passage. It was tight, barely wide enough for one person, but the passage sloped downward and cool air drifted up from below. Ronan realized it might lead to an underground water system, safe for now at least from predators and falling rock. They crawled through the narrow opening until it opened into a small cavern. Water dripped from the ceiling, pooling in shallow puddles on the uneven floor. The hatchling leapt from his arms into the shallow water, splashing and chirping. Its glow reflected on the cavern walls, revealing strange markings carved into the stone. Symbols, spirals, lines that looked like some kind of map. Ronan crouched beside it, running a hand over the carvings. He frowned. "This isn't natural," he muttered. "Someone, or something, was here. Long before us." The hatchling chirped again, stepping over a symbol that pulsed slightly in response to its touch. Ronan felt a chill. This creature wasn't just reacting emotionally, it was interacting with the environment, controlling it in ways he didn't yet understand. He realized the hatchling might hold answers about the planet's strange energy readings. That knowledge made his decision to save it feel even more critical. If he had left it behind, those answers, and perhaps the future of Paralis 4, would have been lost. The stakes weren't just about survival anymore. A sudden splash made him jump. From the shadows of the cavern, something moved in the water, fast, sleek, and dark. Ronan froze, scanning the rippling surface. The hatchling growled softly, its glow intensifying. The creature in the water hesitated, then retreated into the shadows, leaving only ripples behind. Whatever it was, it had been watching, waiting. Ronan took a deep breath, pressing the hatchling back into his chest. "We're not safe yet," he muttered. "But we have time, maybe just enough." He scanned the cavern for an exit and spotted a faint tunnel carved into the far wall, glowing with the same soft energy as before. It led deeper underground, and he guessed it might be the source of the strange energy pulses he had detected from orbit. As they moved forward, he noticed the hatchling's glow pulsing in sync with the crystals embedded in the tunnel walls. Ronan's mind raced. Could the hatchling be sensing something? Communicating with the energy itself? He tested a theory. He touched a crystal gently and the hatchling chirped excitedly. A section of the wall shifted, revealing a small hidden passage. Ronan's eyes widened. This wasn't just luck. The hatchling had guided them to a hidden pathway. He smiled, a brief moment of relief in the midst of danger. "You're smarter than I thought," he whispered, but there was no time to linger. The ground above shuddered and rocks fell from the ceiling, reminding him that the predator wasn't giving up. The hidden passage led to a chamber unlike anything Ronan had ever seen. Stalactites hung from the ceiling like jagged teeth, and crystals lined the walls, pulsating with energy. In the center, a pool of water reflected the light, and beneath the surface shapes moved, small dragon-like forms shimmering and translucent. The hatchling squirmed in his arms, chirping frantically. Ronan knelt beside the pool, cautiously lowering the hatchling closer to the water. Its glow brightened, and one of the shapes approached, curious but wary. Ronan realized the hatchling was trying to communicate, showing him that this hidden world was alive, filled with creatures like it. Each interaction revealed more than words ever could. Suddenly the ground shook violently. A distant roar echoed through the chamber, deep and resonant, like a mountain breathing. Ronan's pulse raced. Whatever was out there, it was massive. He hugged the hatchling closer, feeling its warmth and energy. "We found something important," he whispered. "But we're not done yet. Not by a long shot." The pool began to glow brighter, casting strange, dancing lights across the walls. Shapes beneath the water moved faster, as if reacting to the hatchling. Ronan's stomach twisted. He realized that this was only the beginning, and whatever secrets this planet held, they were far bigger than he could have imagined. Then, from the shadows, a faint, sharp clicking echoed, a sound not made by the water, not by the crystals. Something else was coming. Ronan tightened his grip on the hatchling, standing ready. Whatever it was, it wouldn't wait for introductions. And whatever choices he made next would either keep them alive, or end everything. Ronan froze, the hatchling pressing close against his chest as the clicking sound grew louder. It echoed through the crystal-lined chamber, sharp and metallic. Shadows shifted along the walls, though he could see nothing solid. The hatchling chirped urgently, its glow pulsing faster, as if warning him of something he couldn't yet perceive. He crouched low, scanning every angle. Then, without warning, a section of the far wall shimmered, like heat rising from a desert, and slowly became transparent. Behind it he could see a vast hall, far larger than any natural cavern. Towering figures moved gracefully through the space, shapes both familiar and impossible. Dragons, but unlike any he had seen. Their wings were enormous, translucent like stained glass, scales glowing with internal energy. They were ethereal, majestic, and intelligent, almost as if they were holograms, but they breathed, they moved, they lived. Ronan's heart raced. He set the hatchling down gently, and it bounded forward, chirping excitedly. As it approached the figures, a ripple of light ran through the chamber, and the figures reacted, lowering their massive heads as if acknowledging the hatchling. A thrill of understanding hit him. The hatchling was not just a creature, it was part of this ancient civilization. Somehow it was connected to them. He stepped closer, marveling at the figures. Carved into the walls were strange symbols, lines, spirals, and geometric shapes, glowing faintly. As he reached out to touch them, the hatchling chirped sharply and pressed against his hand. The symbols pulsed brighter, illuminating the chamber. Suddenly, a beam of light shot from one of the crystal panels, scanning both Ronan and the hatchling. The hatchling emitted a series of high-pitched trills. Ronan realized it was responding to the chamber, activating something. The beam traced patterns across the floor and walls, eventually converging on a large console made of the same glowing crystal. Symbols rotated and shifted across its surface. Ronan studied it quickly. He didn't know the language, but he recognized patterns, energy flows, connections, instructions. The hatchling chirped again, nudging his hand toward the console. Acting on instinct, Ronan pressed his palm against it. Immediately, holographic images sprang to life above the console, flickering and pulsing. He gasped. The images showed the hatchling species in motion. Enormous dragons flying across alien skies, interacting with energy currents, communicating telepathically, guiding planets' energy flows. And then he saw it. The hatchling's ancestors had once ruled Paralis 4, controlling its energy for generations. The realization hit him like a physical blow. This tiny creature was the last of its line, a living heir to an extinct empire. The hatchling leapt into the air, wings trembling but strong. Its glow intensified, projecting images of the world above the tunnel and the lava fissures. Ronan realized it was showing him threats and safe paths, teaching him about the planet's hidden energy networks. He felt a rush of awe. The creature was not just intelligent, it was a guide, a teacher, and somehow aware that he could understand it. Before he could process more, a loud rumble shook the chamber. From the shadows, shapes moved, dark, serpentine forms, larger than any predator he had seen before, with glowing red eyes and jagged fins slicing the air. They hissed and clicked, clearly hunting, drawn to the hatchling's energy signature. Ronan's chest tightened. Every second counted. He grabbed the hatchling and it chirped, wings flaring. The chamber pulsed, responding to their presence. Crystals rose from the floor like spikes, forming a temporary barrier. Ronan realized that the hatchling could manipulate this energy, but it required his trust. He had to act fast and act smart. Using his knowledge of physics and the energy flows he could see through the crystals, Ronan carefully redirected the force of the chamber's energy. He pushed, twisted, and leveraged it against the pursuing predators. Sparks flew, the floor trembled, and the air shimmered. The predators recoiled, hissing in frustration, unable to cross the energy barrier. Ronan's hands were raw and trembling, but the hatchling chirped excitedly, wings flaring as the barrier held. He exhaled, chest pounding. The hatchling looked at him, eyes wide, scales glowing brighter than ever. In that moment, Ronan understood, they weren't just surviving, they were beginning to communicate, to cooperate. He had saved it once and now it was saving both of them. Then a sudden sharp pulse of energy surged through the chamber. The holographic ancestors flickered and one figure, a massive dragon with golden translucent wings, rose higher than the rest. Its eyes seemed to lock onto Ronan, piercing and intelligent. A surge of understanding, almost telepathic, flashed through his mind. Guardian, protector, key. The hatchling chirped frantically, glowing brighter, wings flaring as if to echo the message. Ronan staggered backward, overwhelmed, heart hammering. The implications were staggering. This tiny creature, whom he had saved at the edge of a lava fissure, was a pivotal link to a lost civilization. His choice had thrust him into something far bigger than a simple survival mission. A sudden crack echoed from above. The predator he had evaded in the tunnels was closing in, finding a way down into the chamber. Rocks splintered and fell, shaking the floor beneath Ronan's boots. He clenched the hatchling tightly, knowing that their time was limited. He took a deep breath. The chamber, the ancestors, the energy flows, they were all connected. And he had to act fast, not just to survive, but to protect the hatchling and unlock whatever this world was hiding. He glanced at the pool in the center, the water reflecting shimmering shapes beneath, and felt the weight of his next decision pressing down on him. Ronan realized the truth. Saving this hatchling had changed everything. The mission he had trained for, the one that had seemed so important, now felt distant. This was bigger. This was a story that could alter the fate of an entire species, maybe even a galaxy. And then a sudden pulse of energy erupted from the pool, sending a shockwave across the chamber. The crystals along the walls glowed violently. The predators hissed and recoiled, momentarily blinded. The hatchling's wings flared, brighter than ever, almost as if it were calling upon the power of its ancestors. Ronan's stomach tightened. He knew instinctively that whatever was coming next would force him to make choices that no human had ever faced before. The fate of the hatchling, and perhaps something far larger, rested squarely on his shoulders. The next step forward was uncertain. The only thing he could be sure of was that they were no longer just two beings struggling to survive, they were part of something ancient, powerful, and alive. And as the pulse faded, revealing a faintly glowing doorway deep within the chamber, Ronan realized the adventure had only just begun. Ronan's heart pounded as he stepped toward the glowing doorway. The hatchling pressed against his chest, wings fluttering with excitement and fear. The chamber behind them trembled as if the planet itself was warning them not to proceed. He could hear distant roars, predators perhaps, drawn by the hatchling's energy. Every instinct screamed danger, but there was no turning back now. The doorway opened into a massive vertical shaft, its walls lined with glowing crystal veins that pulsed with energy. The drop was dizzying, nearly 100 meters straight down into a swirling pool of light far below. He could feel the raw power of the planet here, the energy of the hatchling resonating with the crystals. This was no ordinary place, it was a nexus, a hub of ancient dragon power. And the predators had followed them. Ronan tightened his grip on the hatchling. "Stay with me," he whispered. The hatchling chirped sharply, wings flaring. It understood. He looked down. The only way forward was to leap from crystal to crystal, using the energy pulses as stepping points. Misstep and they would plummet into the glowing abyss below. He took a deep breath and ran, leaping onto the first crystal. Energy surged beneath his feet, holding him for a split second before he pushed off to the next. Sparks crackled along the walls, and the predators hissed from above, their glowing red eyes slicing through the pulsing light. One lunged and Ronan barely ducked, feeling a wave of hot air brush past him. His heart hammered, but he forced himself to focus. One wrong move and it wasn't just his life at stake, the hatchling would die with him. As he advanced, he noticed the hatchling's glow intensifying, casting beams of light onto the crystals ahead. It wasn't just illuminating, they were reacting to it. The crystals pulsed stronger, forming temporary platforms he could step on. He realized the hatchling was guiding him, manipulating the energy in sync with his movements. His mind raced. A tiny creature barely able to stand on its own legs was helping him defy physics and survive. Halfway across the shaft, the predators struck again. One slammed into a crystal near him, sending shards of glowing stone raining down. Ronan felt the vibration through his boots, nearly losing his balance. He grabbed a nearby crystal vein for stability, heart hammering. The hatchling chirped frantically, wings flaring, and Ronan saw sparks of energy leap from its scales to the crystal. It glowed brighter and the platform beneath them stabilized. Small payoff but crucial, they were alive. He pressed forward, muscle memory taking over, calculating each leap and landing. The predators were relentless, and the crystal platforms were shifting under the pressure of the planet's energy and their movements. Ronan's suit alarms blared, warning of unstable energy surges. He ignored them, trusting the hatchling, trusting his instincts, trusting himself. Suddenly, the largest predator lunged from above. Ronan had nowhere to dodge. Adrenaline surged. He spun in midair, using a crystal as a pivot, and hurled a small energy flare from his suit. The predator screeched as the light hit it, creating a momentary blind spot. Ronan seized the opportunity, leaping further than he thought possible, landing hard on a broad crystal platform that hummed steadily beneath him. The hatchling chirped in triumph, its wings beating strongly. Ronan felt a surge of pride. They had survived the impossible leap, but the danger wasn't over. Ahead, the shaft opened into a massive chamber, pulsing with golden light. The air shimmered, filled with the faint sound of wings and whispers of ancient voices. He realized this was the source, the heart of the energy nexus. As he stepped into the chamber, a sudden pulse of energy erupted from the floor, throwing him off balance. Rocks and crystal shards flew like missiles. He shielded the hatchling, chest pressed tight against it, feeling the heat and force of the energy wave. The hatchling's glow merged with the chamber's light, stabilizing the pulse. The predators hissed and recoiled, unable to penetrate the combined energy field. Ronan's arms burned, muscles straining, but he held firm. He took a moment to catch his breath, heart hammering, sweat dripping down his face. The chamber was quiet now, glowing softly around them. The hatchling's eyes met his, intelligent and unwavering. He realized in that instant that this tiny creature had not just saved itself, it had saved them both. Its energy, its courage, its bond with him, had turned the tide against impossible odds. Then from the far side of the chamber, a massive golden dragon emerged, wings spanning the entire room. It hovered above, eyes piercing, watching him. A wave of telepathic understanding washed over Ronan. Guardian, protector, key. His chest tightened. This wasn't just a creature acknowledging him, it was recognizing his role, his courage, his humanity. The hatchling chirped, flying toward the golden dragon, and for a moment, the chamber seemed to hold its breath. The predators had retreated, the energy stabilized, and the pulse of the planet settled into a calm rhythm. Ronan's stomach twisted with awe and fear. He had survived, yes, but the meaning of all this, what he had uncovered, what he had been chosen for, was only beginning to reveal itself. A sudden vibration shook the chamber again. A faint, distant hum echoed from the crystals, stronger than before. Ronan's eyes narrowed. Whatever lay ahead was bigger, older, and far more dangerous than anything they had faced so far. And yet, he felt a surge of determination. He had risked everything for this hatchling. He had defied death, outsmarted predators, and navigated a living maze of energy. He looked down at the hatchling, now perched on a glowing crystal. Its small eyes met his, full of trust and expectation. Ronan clenched his fists. They were ready. Together they would face whatever came next. And he knew, deep in his bones, that this was only the beginning. A sharp, bright pulse shot through the chamber, and the floor beneath them trembled violently. Ronan's breath caught. This time the danger wasn't behind them. It was coming from below, from deep within the chamber itself. He tightened his grip on the hatchling, ready to leap again, knowing that whatever awaited, they would confront it together. The floor beneath Ronan shuddered, sending a tremor up through his boots. The hatchling chirped nervously, wings trembling, but its glow pulsed steadily, guiding him toward the center of the chamber. The golden dragon hovered silently above, massive wings reflecting the light of the crystals, eyes watching him with an intensity that made his chest tighten. Ronan took a deep breath, feeling the weight of everything they had faced. Lava fields, falling rocks, predators, impossible leaps, and now this chamber, the heart of the planet's energy. He glanced at the hatchling. Its tiny body radiated courage, intelligence, and trust. Every choice he had made, every risk he had taken, had led them here. He realized sharply that this wasn't just about survival anymore, it was about connection. About understanding something far larger than himself. The chamber's energy pulsed again, and Ronan saw movement beneath the water in the central pool. Shapes of translucent dragons swirled beneath the surface, their bodies shimmering with an inner light. The hatchling chirped and flew to the edge of the pool, scales brushing against the water. The shapes responded, rising slightly, their energy interacting with the hatchling's glow. Ronan's mind raced. He realized the hatchling was a key, a bridge between these ancient creatures and the modern world. By saving it, he had preserved not just a life, but a lineage. The energy of the chamber, so volatile, so powerful, was responding to its presence. And he could feel it responding to him as well, recognizing the courage, the determination, and the empathy that had brought him this far. Suddenly, a low hum grew louder, vibrating through the chamber. The golden dragon spoke, not with words but telepathically. Guardian, protector. The world changes because of you. Ronan felt a shiver run down his spine. He understood. This wasn't just a mission anymore. His actions had consequences far beyond what he had imagined. A series of glowing crystal pillars rose from the floor, forming a path across the pool. The hatchling hovered above it, wings flaring as if urging him forward. Ronan's chest tightened. Every step would have to be precise. One mistake and the delicate balance of energy could collapse. He stepped onto the first pillar, feeling the energy pulse beneath his feet, adjusting to his weight. The hatchling chirped, guiding him, and he advanced carefully, pillar by pillar, across the shimmering expanse. Midway, the energy pulsed violently, nearly throwing him off. His hands shook as he steadied himself, gripping the crystal edges. The golden dragon above let out a low roar, and Ronan realized it wasn't a threat. It was encouragement, a reassurance that he could succeed. He inhaled, focusing on the hatchling's glow, and took the next step. Then the next. Step by step, they advanced, moving closer to the heart of the chamber. Finally, they reached the central platform, a broad crystal base glowing with golden energy. The hatchling chirped, diving toward the pool. The shapes beneath the water surged upward, forming a swirling vortex of light. The chamber trembled, and Ronan felt energy brushing against him, wrapping around him like a living current. Fear surged, but so did exhilaration. He had risked everything for this tiny creature, and now they were part of something incredible. The golden dragon hovered directly above, eyes fixed on him, and a vision filled his mind. A sky filled with dragons soaring above vibrant alien landscapes, civilizations long lost but still resonating with energy, planets shifting in delicate balance, and the hatchling at the center, guiding, teaching, and preserving. He realized the truth. This was a world beyond imagination, a hidden legacy that only humans with courage, empathy, and determination could touch. Ronan sank to his knees, overwhelmed. He glanced at the hatchling, who chirped softly, scales glowing warmly against his chest. He whispered, "We did it, together." The tiny dragon nuzzled him, and for a moment, the dangers, the predators, the impossible leaps, all of it, faded into the calm pulse of the chamber. They had survived. They had succeeded. But as the energy stabilized, a faint vibration traveled through the floor, deeper than before. Ronan's eyes narrowed. The golden dragon's gaze followed it, and he felt a subtle warning. Something ancient and immense stirred further below, beyond even the nexus they had discovered. He realized that saving the hatchling hadn't just unlocked this chamber. It had opened a doorway to something far larger, something still unknown. The hatchling chirped again, flapping its wings with renewed energy, and Ronan felt a spark of anticipation. Whatever lay ahead would demand courage, intelligence, and heart, qualities humans could provide. And somehow he knew he was ready. He stood tall, gripping the hatchling firmly, taking one last look at the glowing chamber. The crystal pillars, the pool, the swirling dragons, they were more than relics. They were proof that life, intelligence, and connection could endure, even in the harshest worlds. And now humanity had a part to play. With a deep breath, he stepped back onto the nearest crystal platform, preparing to leave the chamber. But the golden dragon hovered over the exit, wings outstretched, blocking the way, then shifted slightly, revealing a tunnel that led further down. A subtle pulse of energy hinted at more secrets, more challenges, and perhaps more discoveries. Ronan's heart raced with a mix of fear and excitement. The adventure wasn't over, it had only just begun. He glanced at the hatchling, scales glowing brighter than ever, eyes wide with trust and anticipation. "All right," he whispered, voice steady, determination clear. "Let's see what's next." As they stepped into the tunnel, a faint shimmer of light pulsed ahead, promising new wonders, new dangers, and mysteries far beyond what any human had imagined. Ronan gritted his teeth with resolve. He had saved one life, but he had unlocked a world, one where humanity's courage, empathy, and determination would be tested like never before. And somewhere deep within the planet, ancient energy waited, stirring, watching, and whispering of challenges yet to come. Ronan Vale and the hatchling stepped forward, leaving the glowing chamber behind, toward a world that no human had ever seen, and a story that was only beginning.